Did you like it? So it's been 11 hours of playing.
Welcome, dear readers, to Cover My Ass, where baffling books are reviewed but not read by yours truly. My name is Khaki.
And I'm Kay, and remember, we only judge a book by its cover.
And we find ourselves once more amid the towering stacks of your library. But Kay, there's no time to wait. Grab a broom and follow me.
Okay,
no time to explain.
No, inside broom or outside broom?
Both. Excellent. Okay, follow me, and I'll explain to you while we're running down the stacks of your library. By
What's
the way,
going on?
Stacks.
Yes.
I know this is an urgent situation, but you asked about it last time.
Well, yes.
Stacks are the shelves where books are stored, rather than where they're displayed. Quick, let's go.
What's going on?
Okay,
velibraraptors escaping?
If only they were escaping, because then there would be fewer of them. Keep up, you can hear the little pitter-patter of clawed feet
They're not trying to
behind
chase
us.
us, are they?
Yes, they are indeed chasing us.
Oh.
So you suggested last time that in my efforts to defend the section of books based on films based on books,
Specifically Jurassic Park.
I have these all stuffed in
like
this backpack that I'm carrying. It's a rather heavy, so I'm protecting all of that. And you suggested using the cafeteria as a beachhead.
Yes.
They have had significant experience with the cafeteria
Bit
because
of a D-Day there.
Yeah, because of all the reenactments of the kitchen scene that I did with them in the. Oh, quick! Let's turn the corner. Okay, they're coming. Okay, so what I'm thinking is we go where they least expect us to go. We go for the visitor center, and we use that to as a little fort. Oh, they're catching up. Grab your broom! Knock him down!
Right, here we go.
Yeah, grab the one with the glasses.
Yeah, sure.
That one. Oh, nice one.
Got it by the paws.
See, these brooms are excellent because they're kind of non-lethal. I mean, you kind of want to smack them away. I just damaged the 2 martini glasses that he was carrying, but he knows not to approach me anymore.
I suppose you could play some Canadian hockey with those things and bat them across the room. It's like,
okay. We have a lot of listeners in Canada, so you better put the broom down and take that back. You said 2 things that were terrible.
Canadian
First
hockey?
of all, it's hockey.
No.
Any Canadian will tell you it's hockey. And the other thing is you probably meant curling.
No.
Okay, I take it back. Brooms back up. Well, I mean, we're carrying these brooms. We're carrying these brooms, and we're essentially sort of what's it called?
Yeah.
With sticks.
Well, careful, there's one behind you.
Get it, quick.
Oh, sorry, that was you, not him.
Yeah, that was me. Okay.
You do look a bit odd with those bristles stuck in your hair now, but quickly, there's a shortcut past the cafeteria here.
Past the cafeteria into the visitor center. Let's go. It's quite a workout. I'm really glad that they actually tore off the sleeves of my my tweed jacket and trousers.
It does look rather fetching like
it's nice and airy. It's a bit like you wouldn't expect a 3-button tweed jacket to work as a romper, but it kind of does.
Without sleeves. It's a good look on you, yes.
Thank you.
So, what triggered this? They really want those books?
Yes, and I was tired of being on the defensive, so I decided to go on the offensive and set some ground rules, and show that they can't constantly push me. Eventually, I'm going to push back. That did not
show them who's boss.
Yeah, that did not go down well. I mean, they've been behaving differently. I guess maybe it's mating season or some kind of other kind of season
Could be.
for them.
I'm not sure. It's summer. We've had the molting season. I'm not sure when mating season is, to be honest. I don't really pay attention to that.
Neither do I. It's only been 29 weeks since since I arrived. So I haven't been here for a full year.
No.
But yeah, they did not take kindly to that. So I had to abandon the cafeteria. But I think I constructed the visitor center myself out of piles and piles of books. So I know how to. It's essentially a book fort. Here it is coming into view.
Oh.
And let us just nip through the concession stand over here.
Gateway, but this is this is their territory. So you might have to turf 1 or 2 out that remained behind.
That's a very good point. Can you look for any stragglers while I try and break up these walls?
Sure.
Wuthering Heights, 19 copies. Do you really need that?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
They're all
right.
different editions.
All different editions, you're right, for the collector's edition.
Absolutely.
They're good and thick. I think that's the west side covered.
Okay.
Did you find any?
I threw one out through the window. She was cooking something up, it looked like. I just broomed it up the arse and it went boom through the window.
Yeah, did you do the ones that when I get
a little squawk and it tried looking like it was trying to fly, but it didn't work out.
Well, they do the 2 flaps and they could go a bit farther than you'd expect a little piece
I think
like
that's
that.
due to the springiness of the broom.
Oh, you got the good brooms.
Oh, yes.
Okay, well,
the ones with the big twiggy parts.
I think we're good for now.
Yes.
I can hear them scratching at the doorposts on the outside, but I mean, it
I hope
seems
they're not scratching up the books.
I'm not going out there to check. Are you?
Good point.
Since we're in here, I mean, should we do a little podcast?
Yeah, might as well. If I've got the recording equipment with me, so we can just record this while we're here.
I'll just take off my backpack full of books based on films based on books, and you take off your backpack with recording equipment.
Absolutely. We'll sit here and have ourselves a wee cup of tea.
That's what he was cooking up.
There's no mushroom tea, so that'll be fine.
Can you draw tea from mushrooms?
Yes.
isn't it then mushroom soup?
So it's breakfast cereal. Well, no, not mushroom soup, but the cereal is soup. Technically,
But
it's called soup, so it's gazpacho.
Or vichyssoise. Even those are boiled first to draw the contents out of their ingredients.
I suppose, yes.
Yeah.
But
wait, what is the difference between tea and soup? Is it? Hold on. Is it the tea?
Tea is a bouillon, I suppose.
Oh yeah, that's right. A stock.
Stock, yeah.
as
Vegetable
it's
stock,
called,
literally,
yeah.
but only made with one particular vegetable.
Called tea.
Unless, of course, there's an infusion with...
Yeah, I don't get, what is an infusion?
It's basically herbs soaked in hot water.
So soup, we're back to soup.
Yes, technically,
Yeah.
yes. But they call it tea, you know. It's like rooibos. It's not tea.
Oh, yeah.
Because rooibos is not Camellia sensis. Is that what, I think that's what tea's called.
You can convince me of anything at this point.
It's a different plant. But you can brew it like into a tea. But it's
we
tea.
talk about mint tea, and it's just mint leaves boiled up, so it's essentially mint soup. I didn't know that the rooibos wasn't tea.
That's why it's caffeine free as well.
Someone once showed me a picture on Twitter of a pack of actual South African rooibos tea, and on the box there was a picture of a lion, which I thought was such a waste. Like, why a lion and not a caracal, which in Afrikaans is a rooikat.
Yeah.
Rooibos, rooikat.
That would be brilliant.
Red bush, red cat. That would have been perfect. But instead, lions are cool. Let's dive into this week's book.
Let's do that.
Oh, I don't think we've done this before. No. I don't think we've ever done a sequel before.
No, this is in fact the first time we're going to be reviewing a sequel to a book. Actually, yeah, even from books. We've done books out of series before, but we've never done more than one book out of the same series. We have a unique,
a novelty.
A novelty, that's a very good one.
A novel.
Yes, very
that's why they're called novels.
Because they're the new thing on the block?
Yeah, exactly. Because it was fictions.
Right.
They'll rot your brain. You should be reading histories and science books.
I
and now
suppose
you're reading these long fictions that didn't happen.
What isn't it? The Penny Dreadful books and stuff like that.
Oh, they came much later. But yes, they were also a very popular form of a compact, affordable entertainment.
Yes.
Cheap paper, very short.
Quite popular, apparently.
Oh yeah, in the British Isles, and I think in what became the United States of America, they liked their sort of news westerns. Like Billy the Kid would rob a train, and 3 weeks later there would be a paperback of that adventure.
Yes.
As if he's a fictional
character. Yes.
Speaking of adventurous fictional characters.
Yes.
Oh, I'm doing well with the segues.
Oh.
So this week's book is a sequel to the book WASP by Eric,
Robert, Frank. Yes.
David, Todd.
It's by Eric, Frank, and Russell.
Three brothers who argued their way into writing this book together.
Yes.
That we discussed in episode 4. Gosh, we were young then, weren't we?
Long time ago.
I was still wearing my civilian clothes. I was still marveling at the novelty
you still
of
didn't have ultraviolet vision.
Still seeing regular color. Yes. That's right. So much has changed. I hadn't met Guinevere yet.
Well, it's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all, as they say. Especially if it involves love bites. So, which one do you think changed their name to Scheer?
Yes, because the new book that we're discussing today is K.H. Scheer.
Und sie lernen es nie.
Und sie lernen es nie. It's the German version, and they never fucking learn.
No.
Well, I know it's not in there, but with the exclamation point, and they never learn, doesn't cover the same kind of emotional load as Und sie lernen es nie.
No,
and they never bloody learn.
You'd think that's the one fuck they used for their R rating. And they never fucking learn.
Well, that's 3 on this podcast. So up goes the big red E.
Well, a science fiction bestseller from the Terra Extra series. SF bestseller in Neuflage.
Neuauflage.
Neuauflage. So
the new edition.
It says. Oh, yes, you're right. Yeah.
And it says it's 70 PFG. Pfennig.
Pfennig, yes.
Yeah,
of course, back old German currency.
The German penny, except, I'm just seeing this here, in Berlin, where it's 60 Pfennig.
Oh.
Sonderpreis Berlin.
Oh, that seems...
60 Pfennig.
That seems a bit discriminatory.
Right? So in the capital city, it's 10 pennies cheaper. Curious.
So, yes.
Yeah, why is it that we were reading, I don't mind, why is it that we were reading the German version of this book?
Someone went through my book collection and started burning a few of them, and I think the English version was among one of those.
It was the index cards. Thank you very much.
Oh, it might be that it was also used in the construction of the visitor center, and it's in one of the walls here.
Oh, that is very well possible. We may indeed be sitting under So then we won't know unless we demolish the visitor center, which is not a good idea.
No, we need that.
So this is this is a later book. Is it the immediately following book in the Blake Whitecock series
I think so,
of
yes.
novels?
For some reason, it was published 25 weeks after the previous one.
Which makes it the 25th hebdomadaryversary of the release.
Who came up with that? Is that a thing?
It's not really a thing. I mean, so anniversary, annum, the Latin word for year.
Yes.
Right? The Romans didn't actually use weeks in their calendar.
No.
They had months, and then they had different, they had the ides and the calends of the different months, and then they added more months and they changed the days around, but they didn't have weeks. Yeah. But they did conquer nations that did use weeks in their calendar, so they needed to figure out a word. And this is it, hebdomarida, I think it is. And so, like, the derivative that I was able to reconstruct. Actually, this still exists in French. Hence, Charlie Hebdo.
Right.
Because it's an hebdo, it's a weekly.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Right?
Yeah.
So, 25 weeks later, and surprisingly enough, it's also been 25 weeks since we discussed WASP.
What a miracle.
WASP.
Cheers. WASP.
So it's a double 25th hebdomadaryversary.
Congratulations. Now say that 3 more times and it'll be part of your vocabulary forever.
A double 25th hebdomadaryversary, a double 25th hebdomadaryversary, a double 25th hebdomadaryversary.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You now own the word.
Thank you. I'm not the pheasant plucker. I'm the pheasant plucker's son. I'm only plucking pheasants till the pheasant plucker comes.
That's the one.
Thank you for teaching me that.
Yes.
I can't really say that in front of Guinevere because she gets all huffy and she fluffs up.
Yeah, well, she's not a pheasant.
I miss Guinevere. I mean, we find ourselves on opposite sides of the divide, much like our hero.
Yes, Blake Whitecock. Yes. Again, the titular character on the cover of the book, show wearing his dashing wasp outfit. I mean, he's actually got sleeves on his jacket this time, which is a
they're kind of
thing.
short.
Maybe he likes to show a lot of cuff when he's dressing.
In my current condition with my jacket, I can sort of relate. It's not really that silly.
So he's wearing the Virtua helmet, the Wasp Tech helmet.
I remember us struggling to describe the insectology and entirely failing to, and then
Wasp Tech.
Wasp Tech, that's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
What does it stand for? Just off the top of your head, what does it stand for? Weapon?
Weapon armature system,
obviously. Usually system goes at the end, so let's see how this resolves.
System,
personal...
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we still have tech left. Personal, technological, extravehicular communications unit.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. What was it again? What did you just say? Sorry, just a quick reminder so I can write it down. Can you read it back to me one more time?
It was a right. What was it? A W stand for again? Weapon. Oh, right. Yeah, that was it. The weapon aspiration.
Armature aspiration. No cheating. Sorry. You tell me. Weapon aspiration.
No, the weapon armature system, personal, technical, electronic communicator.
That's better.
It is.
That's even better than because the extravehicular just didn't make sense.
No.
Very good.
Well, it does make sense because it's like the thing that he uses to control the wasp when he's like not inside the wasp. Remember?
Yes, exactly. For our readers at home who maybe haven't heard episode 4, it was a rollicking adventure where boy adventurer Blake Whitecock, now all grown up, and a member of the Royal Air Force, became embroiled in experimental British technology involving the mental control of various sized wasps as part of the Air Force Next Generation Weapons program, which he had to use in order to undermine the experimental weapons of the intractable enemies Argentina.
Speaking of those weapons, you can see those in the background in this.
They've grown up a bit, haven't they?
They've got their ice ray. They've worked it over. They've improved it. It's now a intercontinental ice ray.
An intercontinental
ice ray. It uses JJ Abrams technology to shoot up in the air and then have it bent back down to the UK to hit the United Kingdom around the curvature of the Earth.
That's right. It bounces off the Van Allen belt, and because it's a hyperlight weapon, it lenses through the gravitational pull of the Earth. No, you're right. That is entirely ice. What does that stand for again?
Internal combustion. What was it again? The last word. What was the E again? Internal combustion extinguisher, I think it was.
Well, originally it was an internal combustion engine destruction.
Oh, that was it. Yeah. Ice, yes.
It was a ray still.
Ice
so
ray.
It was the Eister
Yes.
And I had some problems with that. So I think the new one, internal
combustion extinguisher.
Internal combustion extinguisher is way better, right?
Things improved in second edition.
They have, yeah. So Argentina has doubled down.
Yep, built a whole battery of these things, and they're planning on using it against the United Kingdom with their over-the-horizon weaponry and blanket bombing them out of existence.
The United Kingdom being, of course, the unfortunate victims of their vendetta against Wales.
Yes.
Now, as we all know, the United Kingdom is a very reluctant union of nations that England is just groaning under the weight of all of these nations that just demand inclusion. We've got Scotland and Ireland and Wales and the Channel Islands all demanding inclusion on their economy. And out of the goodness of their heart, the English can't refuse.
No, and they're paying massive amounts of money into these countries, and
absolutely,
it's bleeding the capital dry.
And even then, there's separatist efforts within these various nations that have so benefited from their union, and turning their backs when the national anthem is sung.
Wait, that's ridiculous. Some people have no gratitude. The book starts off with a bit of problem in good old Wales. Where the Argentinians have tried. It's a bit of a deception, I would say, because the first thing that
if they've infiltrated foreign soil.
Right. As you know, in the beginning of the book, they're having to deal with a morning glory infestation in Wales.
Yeah, I was confused about that. What is morning glory?
It's a plant. Their bomber fleet has flown over Wales and spread the seeds out all over the sheep colonies, and the whole landscape is now riddled with morning glory plants, which are shooting up everywhere. Which, of course, is a plant which is deadly to sheep if they eat too much of it.
Okay. Well, that explains. It had a real horror tone. Those early chapters, it was a real day of the Triffids, or I should say, Day of the Triffids.
You know what they say? Say it with flowers, give her a Triffid.
Oh dear. A Triffids, for some of our American readers at home, I guess not everybody knows it, are the monster giant earth invading plants of British sci-fi fame in the 50s and 60s. Yeah. It's rather a bold and successful strategy to keep Britain distracted while they're finalizing their
ice ray. Yes, that's basically the thinking. They're making the UK think that they've gone biological, and instead they're perfecting the ice ray. There
are unfortunate trends in the history of weapons of mass destruction. The desire to kill people but not harm structures. The neutron bomb was developed for that purpose.
The neutron bomb is a little bit more different. It was mostly developed to be actually used in Germany in strategic locations if the Soviet tanks were to invade. And the idea was to actually irradiate the tanks to make them unusable. And the idea was to create minimal fallout.
Yeah,
so they could actually use them on their own territory. They were specifically made as tank killers.
Right.
Against the Soviet tank battalions.
As opposed to the Johnny Crockett weapons, which, if I recall, never deployed. They were
tested. But again, they were used for
nuclear mortars, but those were specifically for area denial in home territory.
Yes, to prevent them from going places and
to create an area.
Yeah, and to destroy a battalion. So that was the idea behind neutron bombs.
Well, then the ice ray is a lot more humane in that regard. I mean, it would reduce all of Britain to essentially the 17th century, pre-industrial technology, because all internal combustion would be destroyed.
Bring back the horse and carriage.
Ireland would be all right. That's not even mean. One out of 3 Irish people is a horse.
I didn't know they had stats.
They got tons of horses.
Oh, sweet. Horses.
Of course, Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, is not in the United Kingdom, so I would hope that the Argentinians had good enough aim to avoid those.
They might have to tweak the dials a little bit.
It's kind of a thrilling introduction, and followed up by the introduction of our hero, Blake Whitecock, who is on a mission of infiltration of his own.
Yes.
As we recall, the seeming adversary in WASP by Eric Franken Russell was Teniente Colonel Jones, which we surmised was a Welsh defector now working for the Argentinans.
Colonel Jones.
Okay, you insist on calling it that because you had a joke about cojones. Yes, a very good joke that I'm still enjoying. But speaking of cojones, Blake has now returned and is Teniente Colonel Jones's undercover boy toy.
Yes, it's like scandalous. No?
Salacious.
That's the word.
Yes. Yeah, salacious and scintillating. And in the proper tradition of Blake Whitecock, I don't think he knows.
Oh,
That's
no.
what he is. Like,
Oh, no, absolutely not. He's just being his delicious, clueless self.
Yep, even when he's wearing a crop top and short shorts.
I'm just enjoying the sun in Buenos Aires.
Yeah, he's Teniente Colonel Jones's yeoman, and he is completely convinced that this is just the yeoman's uniform in the Argentinian
The fact
juntas.
that he's the only one who's wearing it. But
Yes, well, as Jones explains to him, that's because you have a very special status as my yeoman, and that's why your bunk is in my room. Yeah, because I need you to be able to take my note.
anytime that something needs to be taken down.
And gee whiz, yes sir, he says in his brilliant Spanish accent somehow.
It's amazing how the writer manages to convey both a English and a Spanish accent together in this half Cockney, half...
Yeah, he's a very sort of estuary kind of Spanish. It's not quite Castellano. It's not quite.
I wouldn't know the difference, to be honest.
Castellano is just Spanish,
Right.
as in Spain, and then you have Mexicano in Mexico. So yes, our Blake is trying to work Teniente Colonel Jones over, not quite aware that he's. I mean, Teniente Colonel Jones just ran a casino the first time around, and since the failure of the initial Icer weapons in the first book, his status has actually declined.
What baffles me most about is that Blake seems to be entirely oblivious to the fact that the Colonel has seen him. The Colonel probably knows who he is, and yet he still believes that he has somehow managed
Getting
to
away from him.
outguile him. And
Yep, because he grew a little moustache. And he thinks that he thinks that that's all that he needs. He grew a little weak working class moustache, as they're known in Britain.
One of the little Spanish moustaches.
He's no longer a boy, but he's not quite a rough manly man. So it's kind of a weak little flaxy.
I think in the
affair.
cover doesn't really do him justice in this.
No,
he's
the cover
he's
is-
portrayed as a much older character there.
I think Wutherington Lancelot II had some liberties there.
Yes, he does that a lot.
But you can see him on the cover with the technology that he's famed for in this series. He has his what did you call it? The control helmet.
Yes, the WASP tech
WASP
helmet.
tech. And what did that stand for again? And he's even got the control wand.
Yes.
That he used previously.
Although this seems to be a newer model of it. It's been scaled down a little bit. It's not quite so long, whippy antenna anymore. It's
No, it's much more easily concealed, although where he's concealing it when he's wearing that skimpy yeoman's uniform.
Let's hope that it's under his pillow.
Yeah. Courtesy of Leslie, the quartermaster of the 579th
Something like that, yes.
squadron. I think that was even. So, meanwhile, his pointless mission is soon interrupted by Grimmy Dreig. That is the
Welsh infiltrator?
well, that is a crack team of Welsh operatives. That is their nickname. It's the Dragon Force because Wales famously has the dragon
yes.
as their. That's kind of a trend in British Isles nations to like the Scots. Their national animal is the
Unicorn?
yeah right
Not
And-
the haggis, which is
a lovely dinner that I really
it's
enjoy.
also an animal.
No.
That's wild haggis. It's like that's what you catch them.
Oh my
goodness,
goodness.
they're weird and lumpy, and and they've got like one legs on one side longer than the other. It's for running around the Scottish mountains.
I know it's a MacGuffin.
Yeah, no.
Or you might be thinking of the Isle of Man, except then it would have 3 identical legs with tennis shoes for some reason.
It's weird, isn't it?
Right.
It's like
The Triskelion.
let's assume it's based upon some Sanskrit peace sign.
Oh yeah, that's a nice thought. But so Grimmy Dreig are the code name for Welsh intelligence's 2 crack operatives who are old friends of our hero, Helen and Monique.
Back in town again. It's kind of hand waved the fact that their faces are well known.
Look, I'm going to assume that they're just amazing in their
Disguises, yes.
in their disguises.
Or Argentinians don't look at women's faces.
The costumes certainly do help. Like they're both presenting themselves as wealthy heiresses, sowing their wild oats simultaneously and together.
And yet still always going home together at the end of the evening.
Yep.
And,
It is both confusing and arousing to
yes, I would suppose so, because every man thinks that they can be the one to get between them, so to speak.
yeah, they should be so lucky. And of course, that's immediately what poor clueless Blake thinks. But they're wise to his act. They know what he's like.
Yes, he's snooping around the palace, and he's convinced that he's found the next attack, which is going to be because he's there to like find out what the next plan is going to be. If like there was the Morning Glory attack, and he's convinced that the next thing is still going to be in the biological tent, because it's like the Cardinal is has got this big greenhouse out in the back of the palace, which is being used to cultivate a rather large amount of leek moths.
Oh,
they're pupated there, and it's like it looks like they're collecting enough to like start another raid on Wales. And like after like poisoning the sheep, they are now like attacking the second national
food supply.
Do
you know? I mean, just out of fiction, you know they eat more than sheep and leek,
really?
right?
Why?
Like, there's the annual garlic festival up in Cardiff, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
The garlic soup and garlic tea. Apparently, they're different. Now I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, garlic is like related to leek.
Oh no! Would the leek moths kill the garlic as well?
Probably, yes.
Italy must be terribly worried about it.
Italy. I mean, you've read chapter 14,
of
where
course
like
I have.
Italy is protesting loudly in the United Nations
and gesturing loudly as well.
It must be hard to be a
translator.
But what about sign language translator in Italian? It's like, is there a difference?
Of course, there's a difference. There are different sign languages in every country, and they're not related to the spoken language. If I recall correctly, there was once an international conference for sign language speakers that was an absolute disaster because
they found out that they didn't understand each other.
They weren't prepared with enough translators. There is still a need for like an Esperanto of sign languages. Because that's how it emerged in different countries. Like American Sign Language is based on Martha's Vineyard Sign Language, which just happens to emerge very, very, very
dominantly. Yes.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that video of sign translator at a Eminem concert signing along to Rap God?
Yes,
it's amazing. She does such an amazing job.
It's such a fantastic animated performance. And there was one with, some other rapper, I don't recall, but who apparently wasn't aware that sign language translators were a feature offered at certain festivals, and he thought that she was just doing happy hand dancing, and he danced along with her. Well, it was kind of cool. I mean, she was game. She showed him the signs. She slowed it down a bit.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. He didn't know what he was doing, but they both had fun doing it.
And then there was the I think it was in South Africa somewhere.
Oh my God!
The political guy who was just waving his hands around. He was just making it up as he was going along.
It's just gibberish.
It was just like made no sense whatsoever.
Got away with it for years. Like, apparently, people who watch that must just assume that must be some other sign language that I don't speak, that I don't sign.
Yes, amazing thing how these people.
I asked about that a while ago to my friends on Twitter, some of whom who know about this subject, and I asked, like, is it appropriate to talk about speaking sign language with the idea of it being, it is a language, we speak languages, that's an equivalency, and I was informed that that's actually quite an unhappy word to use because a lot of people who have partial hearing, but who communicate preferably through sign language, are told to use their words instead, are told to speak instead of sign, implying some kind of superiority.
Yeah. It's a bit of a sensitive subject. How do you take in sign language? Because, like, to a spoken language, you listen to you speak a spoken language and you listen to it. So a sign language, you sign it and you...
Yes. Okay, I don't know for sure. I mean,
you see it? No, I'm just.
That's a very good question.
Seems like
Oh yeah, we have readers of home. If any of our readers at home are familiar with the deaf or hard of hearing or hearing impaired community, whether you'd let us know, like, what is the proper way to talk about these things?
Yes, we always appreciate hearing from our listeners
or reading from them. You can get in touch with us at CoverMyAssCast on Twitter or Facebook and CoverMyAssCast@gmail.com. So
back to Mr. Whitecock.
Yes, he informs Helen and Monique, the Grimmy Draig, the Dragon Force, of his discovery of the leek moth plot, and they inform him that this is more bullshit.
It's a red herring
in the wrong place
at the wrong time. Well,
and you're following the wrong villain because the real mastermind is La Dama. Someone that they have been sent after, while Blake, bless his heart, was relegated to the less important and possibly sort of punitive mission of
keeping an eye on the colonel
under his covers.
Oh yes,
I mean, certainly in my fanfiction.
Ooh, have you been writing it again?
Picked up
that hobby again?
Well, I dabble.
Absolutely. So yes, after he gets braved by the Grim Drag, the Grim Dragon. No, I keep thinking that, but it's
I
not.
believe it's pronounced Grim U Drag.
Grim U Drag.
The.
Oh,
It's a
double
voice.
D?
The. Yeah, double D is
Grim U Drag.
Drag.
Yes. Well, it's notoriously difficult Welsh because letters change pronunciation depending on other letters around them as well.
No. It is a very phonetic letter. It's just like one of the letters is two D's. Just the way in Dutch, like IJ is a letter that is an I.
I suppose,
it's not
yeah.
an I and a J. Or in Spanish where CH is a letter. So in the dictionary you look and you have A, B, C, CH, D.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's clever. Yeah.
So,
Grim U
yeah.
Drag. The Drag. Tell him that he has to get on the wire, Captain Morgan,
Our favorite captain.
and get his orders in. Basically, it is off to the highest place in Argentina,
Yes.
Aconcagua. No Blake Whitecock book can be without
Without the volcanic lair.
Fail.
Yes, I was going to do a fist bump, and then I realized that's not audible, so I was going to do a high five instead.
And we fucked it up.
We just played patty cake for a minute and a half.
It's the highest mountain in Argentina. So our author takes a bit of liberties here because there's no volcanoes in Argentina. But
But what if there were though?
True.
What if there were?
It is true.
because it's the volcanic. I mean, it's the geothermal energy that powers all of these ice weapons.
Yes, they're beautifully aligned on the mountain ridge, almost like someone's built a telescope farm there until you get a closer look at it and you can see.
Oh
that they're
yeah, sort of like what's that place called in Hawaii?
Mauna Kea.
Yeah.
And or in Chile, there's the observatory as well.
So on their way to the volcanic lair, we have the other thing that a Blake Whitecock novel can never be without, which is a montage
Yes.
of how they get there, how they have to rob this corrupt police captain and bribe this truck driver.
There's a weird little scene about coke dealers or something. It's almost like Narcos there for a moment, where
They're
there's like
oddly sympathetic,
where
aren't they?
there's a weird scene where they have to go deal with that, and
they take it very seriously, and everyone is satisfied.
but it's the montage, so
end.
it happens in a page and a half, and that's it.
It was just such a curious. I think that this author is just super into cocaine.
That might be it.
And it's also during this montage that another aspect of Blake Whitecock is explored that really hasn't been shown since the very early boys' adventure novels, which is his rampant kleptomania.
Oh,
so
yes, he makes off with quite a few little things, doesn't he?
Yeah, and a lot of them, he gets caught out by Helen and Monique, and in the spirit of Blythe Drug, they make him return it, and it's super inconvenient. But
well, he does end up with the colonel's little pearl handle.
pearl necklace, yes.
Well, that too. But I was going to say his
He wears with pride.
pearl-handled Walter PPK.
Oh,
which he nicked out of the dressoir back in before leaving the.
And again, where he hides that, one does not know, because he's still wearing the hot pants.
It must be horrible.
It chafes, boo-hoo.
It's cold. It's hot.
The three of them finally arrive at the volcanic lair,
Yes.
and pitch at the rim of it before going inside for a last communication with Captain Morgan.
Yep. They send off another WASP
With the last care package from Leslie, the quartermaster.
Yes.
The final.
It's one of the mid-sized wasps peeking into the rim of the volcano, which is not a volcano, but they've seen the guns lined up, the beams actually.
Yes, the intercontinental ballistic ice weapons.
Yes.
Oh no, it was intercontinental ballistic. What's it called again? Internal combustion extinguishers. Oh, that's a
the
good
one.
word.
There you go. Very good. They've been produced by the Special Operations Branch, the Argentinian resort Hair Works.
For the readers at home who are even more confused than I am, and I had visual aids here, hair works, as in hair, as in the animal hair,
Yes.
Versus skunk works is, I think, where
Mr. Whitecock got his. Sorry, Mr.
Scheer.
Scheer got his inspiration from.
Yeah, the hair works department of the Fuerzas Espaciales,
That's
which
the one.
is
Yeah.
the Argentinian space force that emerged from Agrupación Fuerzas Especiales, the special forces. Because obviously these are space age weapons. I can only imagine that they were intended for use on the super advanced Argentinian space program and had been pressed into use prematurely by La Dama.
Yes, heralding back to the scene of the Italians making a big fuss in the Security
UN.
Council. Yeah, the UN Security Council placing weapons on board spacecraft is of course forbidden by the international treaties. Although I think there were exceptions for personal firearms, because especially the Soviets had guns on board their Soyuz capsules.
For what?
In case they came somewhere in the outback of of Kazakhstan and they landed hundreds of kilometers off target. And it took days for them
to protect themselves against bears.
Bears and maybe hunt a little something or the other. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, guns in space, I mean, they'll work in a vacuum. That's not a problem. Although you have to be careful that, all your lubricants are going to evaporate off. And
that's right.
You'll
because
run the risk of vacuum welding the metal parts together.
Yeah, because the gunpowder in bullets just contains enough oxygen to ignite.
Of course, it's all encased. It's like
doesn't that leak out eventually?
No,
it's that tight a seal, or is it?
That's not actually oxygen. It's an oxidizer.
It's
an oxidizer. It's not actual oxygen. That's the thing with explosives. They contain both the oxidizer and the what's the other one called again?
Combustible.
The combustible, yeah. And they're held together in a tenuous way. And when you add a little bit of heat, it goes boom.
Yes, very good. I learned so much when I read these books with you, Kay. Yes, I appreciate that so much.
So yeah, into the lair
to confront the mysterious Ladana,
yes,
who's been pulling all of these strings. And this is where the Dragon Force Grimithraig they change from the various costumes that they've had on to their sort of standard uniform, which is pretty sexy combat.
Skin-tight bodysuits, urban camouflage. So it all goes very Charlie's Angels there.
It's so cool. And they've got all these gadgets. They've got umbrellas, slinging, stun guns. Blake Whitecock really can't help that much with his one thing, the suicide pen. Like he's got the...
Yes. Well, it does come in useful in the final scene. Because that's the thing with suicide pens. You can use them on someone else as well.
Yeah, but then they stop being a suicide pen. I'm enough of a stickler.
It's misappropriation of government equipment.
It's a homicide pen then. He wasn't issued a homicide pen.
Well, you've got to make do with what you got.
But yes, after another montage and making it through the waves and waves of the Fuerzas Especiales.
It turns into a typical action movie.
Ha, judo, chop.
One after the other, they get thrown into broom closets, tossed off railings, in one case, tossed off a bath.
As they're running down the corridors, much like you and I at the start of this episode.
We were running down
the corridors between the stacks.
There was no tossing off, though. I beat off a few of the velibraraptors with the broom, but...
Yeah, no, I'm not going to finish my tasteless gag.
Okay, good.
I always do that before the episode. Is when I take care of my tasteless gags. Until the final confrontation in La Dama's lair.
Yes.
And it's such a proper setup with a big gleaming table and a world map on the big screen and a big high chair with its back toward us.
View of the generator room where they're charging the guns.
And the chair turns around, and who should be lounging in it but Luis Ciccone?
Back from the dead.
Yeah, well, supposedly. I mean, this is a proper sequel, right? Where old friends and enemies come back to his aid.
Yes.
Yeah, she was the seeming vamp, but ultimately villainess of WASP originally, and who's not as dead as we were leading
to believe.
Led to believe. She does have an eye patch.
She did pull a bit of an Ernest Blofeld there. Yes.
Ernst Stavro Blofeld.
Not Ernest, right, yes. Sorry.
It's like half German, half Greek, curiously. Now, at this point, we're expecting several speeches back and forth, of course, because that's how it usually goes.
A bit of ground standing and a bit of monologuing.
And it's Blake who does that, who approaches her wielding his suicide pen, which is of course pointed at himself because it's a lovable little oaf, talking about the perils and follies of international warfare and weapons of mass destruction. But Louise only has eyes for Grimidruv,
as it was in the previous book.
Yeah. And now that they're a little bit more comfortable in their relationship, Helen and Monique are kind of more open to Louise's
avances.
Lovely word use there. Like this book sort of ends rather curiously with Blake Whitecock still monologuing in an empty room, while the three of them just sort of sidle off, and the lights get turned off, the weapons get powered down,
and it's like a little retreat to the boudoir of La Dama,
which we're not privy to. And it takes Blake quite a while to
realize that
his only option is to climb back out over the mountains of
and head back to Captain Morgan
to inform him.
Mission accomplished. I've done it again.
Well done, Blake. We couldn't have done it without you. What happened to Grimmy Thraig?
Unfortunately, lost in.
They fell in battle.
Battle.
Quite
another victory for Mr. Whitecock.
Yeah, and that's why he's such an enduring hero. He stumbles into these problems and out of them again, and he comes out unscathed and heroic.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good book. It was a good example of the series. I'll say that. I think it's a very strong Blake Whitecock book.
Yeah,
it's,
as we like them, and I do hope
It's definitely from later on. Everything's gone a little bit more mature. It's definitely not the boyish things anymore. Although,
maybe at the next hebdomadaryversary,
we'll do an earlier book from the series.
Yeah, how about that?
That sounds like a good plan for our. Would be just over 50 episodes in at that point.
Let's keep an open mind and let's just
one of the earlier Blake Whitecock books.
Yeah, when the inspiration strikes. Okay, so we have something to look forward to. But how are we going to rate this book?
How shall we rate it?
I mean, we've dealt with Argentina quite a lot.
Yes.
Oh, well, we started with the 25th anniversary out of 25 weeks.
Okay. Yeah.
How many leaks out of 25 weeks?
Oh, very good. I shall give it. I think I'll give it 21.
21. Yeah. Okay. That's a nice.
7 days.
Because it was good and thrilling, wasn't it?
It was.
And it was really nice to see Helen and Monique.
Oh, absolutely. They did their usual wonderful thing. They were like the charming duo. And as you say, they've gotten more confident in their relationship.
Oh, yeah.
Nice thing to read about.
Yeah, I
Much
do hope
to
that things.
Blake's chagrin, who gets like literally left out in the cold, especially during the montage.
Yes. Because it's cold up there.
It is. And the two girls are comfortably
keeping one another warm.
And he's just like
snuggled up in the one cat suit.
Yes, why do I get the guard duty? It's like freezing his poor little hiney off there.
No. Still in the hot pants. He never did find another pair of trousers.
It's peculiar, despite the fact that they bribed so many officials.
I know. It's like my fanfiction was being written for me.
So, good book.
What do we have in store for our readers next week?
Yes. Next week's book is by Chris Tygreen. It's called Violent Prayer, Engaging Your Emotions Against Evil.
Whoa. There's a lot to unpack there.
It is.
That about covers it. Thank you for joining us at Cover My Ass, where baffling books are reviewed but not read by yours truly. My name is Khaki.
And I'm Kay, and remember, we only judge a book by its cover.
Violent prayer against evil. Actually, considering the circumstances where we now find ourselves in, maybe we should have a little prayer circle and see if we can ward them off. Kalima Shakti
I was thinking more of a war chant, but you're doing
Kalima Shakti De.
Kalima Shakti De. What are you doing with my heart?